Hi, welcome to Eric's Movie Corner. I'm Eric, and I'm here to talk about movies. Let's do it. Today, I'm going to be talking about a brand new film just released in theaters called Antlers. Antlers is an adaptation of a short story called The Quiet Boy by Nick Antosca. This movie stars Kerry Russell as Julia Meadows, Jesse Plemons as Sheriff Meadows, her brother, and it also stars Jeremy T. Thomas as Lucas Weaver, who's the boy in the movie. This movie is one of the movies that got a massive delay due to the COVID pandemic. It was originally supposed to come out in March 2020. That didn't happen, so it's now being released in October 2021. When this film first got some buzz prior to its initial planned release, I went and I read the short story The Quiet Boy by Nick Antosca, and I liked it. However, so much time had gone by since that and now. When I was watching the movie in the theater today, I was thinking, I don't remember this. And the reason is that they changed quite a bit between the short story and the movie. They fleshed out some stuff quite a deal. They changed the location and generally filled it up to make a feature-length film. I think it worked out pretty well. It still has the same basic premise in that there is a quiet boy, thus the name of the original story, at school. His teacher notices having some issues, and he comes from the poor part of town, and she thinks he might be being mistreated at home. So she decides to take it upon herself to go check out his living environment. When she does that, finds some stuff, gets the police involved, and they do some things that end up having some dire consequences, even though they didn't realize they were doing anything wrong at the time. And I'm just going to leave it there. That's the basic outline of the story.
The movie is very slow
at the beginning, so it's a slow burn. Be ready for that going into it. So if you have trouble with that, you might have to plow through the first 45 minutes of the movie. However, I personally think it's worth it because the acting is good enough that it's not horrible to sit through. And some of the stuff they added is explored in that first 45 minutes. For instance, in the book, there's the teacher and then there's a sheriff character that interact. However, for the movie, they made them brother and sister that have a complicated relationship with each other as well as with their abusive father who has passed. Which makes for some interesting character development in that first 45 minutes. Ultimately, there's a great finale to this movie. It's worth getting to the end to see the climactic scene. It's pretty awesome. Great effects, good acting, good directing. Movie looks good. So I would say that I would give this a recommend if you can get through the slow part at the beginning. If you're looking for a thrill a minute type of ride, maybe go see Halloween Kills instead. But I like this movie for what it is. It's a little more dramatic. It is dark. It is slow. It's kind of sad. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I would give this movie a recommend. But just keep in mind that the first part of it is very slow. So that said, I'm going to throw up the spoiler flag and talk about some of the details of the movie that you might not want to know if you're planning on going to see it. So you have been warned. That's where we're going now. So go see the movie and then come back and listen to the rest of this later. Okay, so now that we're into the spoiler section, I will say that I thought the creature design in this movie is pretty fantastic. You don't get to see the creature for a very long time, but when they finally show it to you at the end, it's pretty rad. So I enjoyed that aspect. Also, I thought there was some pretty neat gore in this movie. There are several eviscerations in this movie that you get to see the aftermath of, which is pretty gnarly. And some pretty decent action. They changed the ending of the movie to be quite different from the story. Although both the short story and the movie leave you in a place where everything's not fully resolved, which I thought was pretty cool. Because I kind of get irritated with happy, shiny Hollywood endings. La-di-da-di-da, everything's perfect. F that, that's stupid. So, yeah, I enjoy the darkness of the ending. like that a lot. Also, probably my favorite moment in the movie is I was just recording the Dark Discussions podcast the other night when we were talking about this as it relates to Halloween Kills, is that when you're watching a horror movie and somebody has the bad guy down, and they just like drop their weapon and walk away like, oh, all done. It's like, no, keep stabbing. And in this movie, you get that, and it was highly satisfying. Kerry Russell had a confrontation with the bad guy at the end, and when she wins, she doesn't just walk away. She turns the body over and stab, just stabs him over and over and over again, and literally rips the heart out of its chest to make sure it's dead. And that was so satisfying to see, after having so many people in horror movies go, oh, they're dead now, and walk away only to have the bad guy get up again. Very, very happy that they did that. Right after that, there's a scene that might bother some people because, yeah, we're in the spoiler section. Get ready for it. There's the death of a small child. In fact, I guess you could say it's a murder of a small child, even though the child is going to turn into a nasty, and they're doing it to prevent that from happening. Still, a little boy gets killed. So some people might have issue with watching that. They don't show it. They don't show the contact of the weapon. So they do spare you that. But still, you know what's happening, and it's kind of visceral, to say the least. Jesse Plemons was an interesting casting choice for this movie because I generally liked him, and he generally has humorous roles. I first came to notice him in Friday Night Lights, the television show. I think maybe my favorite performance of his was in Game Night, where he just had me laughing constantly throughout the whole movie. So it was interesting to see him in a completely straightforward, dramatic role. And he probably delivered my favorite line in the movie, because one of the through stories here is that Kerry Russell, the teacher character, had left home and moved to California until her father died, and then she came back to live with her brother. And there's some family history there about the abuse of the father. It's left vague as to whether it was strictly physical abuse or sexual abuse. And so they're having some tension over the fact that she left her brother there to live with her dad. And at one point in the movie, they start having an argument about it, and Kerry Russell is saying, you never had to deal with dad doing this to you. You never had to deal with dad doing this to you. And he just looks at her and says, almost dead in his eyes, you have no idea what dad did to me. And I thought that was an incredibly powerful line delivered perfectly. So kudos to Jesse Plemons for that one. Overall, this is a good dark drama horror movie. Again, if you're looking for a thrill, might want to look elsewhere. Oh, yeah, one other detail I forgot to mention is that when Kerry Russell tracks down the creature at the end of the movie, they show it feeding on a black bear. This thing is so badass. It killed a black bear. So it's like, holy shit, this thing's pretty powerful. So it's then that more dramatic to see Kerry Russell take it down. It's very satisfying. So overall, I would give this movie a recommend. If you enjoyed hearing me talk about this movie, please hit the like button below and subscribe and hit the notification button so you know when I post something new. Thanks for stopping by Eric's Movie Corner. I'll see you next time.